What up, guys? Spire Guitars here. Back at you guys again with another vlog. I say in quotations because it's been a very long time since I made a vlog video, I realize. That being said, my bed isn't made, but you can't see it right now because my bed's actually in that room back there, and I'm not going to drag my entire computer setup because my webcam is stuck to my computer just to show you guys my bed. But what I will go ahead and show you guys instead is this big old fat 6K right here. That's right. I'm just kidding. I did hit 6K though, as humble as I can make it sound like. I just wanted to inform you guys that I am a 6K player now, 6K gamer, big man, the big 6K. You know, all those kids on Reddit can shut the fuck up now. I'm just kidding. 100%. I'm trying to make this video somewhat educational. I did not just come out here to brag. I wanted to more so specifically talk about kind of like how I did this. And again, the least condescending or braggish way possible. I kind of wanted to inform you guys on a few maybe like stylings for how I did it, so to speak, my like method of going through this, and maybe you guys can pick up some tips for it. As a disclaimer, I'm right at the edge of 6K, so it's entirely possible that I am suffering from the unfortunate highs of what is just a typical regular swing in the span of MMR. You know, sometimes you got your lows, sometimes you got your highs, and I did kind of, or it seems like I may have stagnated right here before I kind of went on a stupid win streak and was able to finally climb back up to 6K. So it's entirely possible that I'm not actually deserving of this. Because I didn't climb it high enough for me to feel like I'd have a cushion to where I'd be able to say confidently like I am 100% a 6K player. But at the moment my MMR says 6K, so I'm going to call myself a 6K player, and I'm going to conveniently not play a few games until Dota buff updates so that I can like kind of cement the idea, close off and not show my MMR for a while, and then try to climb up to 7K and see if that actually happens. So without further ado though, I did want to talk about this a little bit, and to talk about what I'm trying to talk about, I need to show you guys my Dota buff. As you'll see, I didn't update yet, Kappa. But more specifically, what I want to go ahead and take a look at is my matches. I want to show you guys kind of a bit of a tool, a bit of a not known tool. Is you can do this on pretty much any site that actually tracks your matches, so to speak. But I go for ranked matchmaking. I try to find a filter. Dota buff makes it really easy. You just go to solo queue. I'm not sponsored by Dota buff, by the way. Obviously, I don't have any sponsor. I'm not a big. This video is gonna get like 400 views. I definitely do not have any sponsors unless Carbon Bond counts as a sponsor. Caparino, if he watches my YouTube, I'm pretty sure he does. And then I check. Is it no ranked matchmaking solo queue? Yeah. And then all time. And actually, more specifically, I am kind of just looking for my most recent information, but I'll find that because it shows the date on the videos, or on the games rather, that have been played. So I want to talk about this for a little bit because a lot of people think that I'm a brute spammer, and I think that's I almost see that as a criticism, but if it's not, I see that as kind of untrue. You know, even if you're just trying to make it like an accurate statement about me as a player, like, oh, he just spams Broodmother, that's what he does. I just wanted to I didn't want anybody to get the opinion that I literally just played Broodmother all the way up to 6K. And now you might be like, well, of course you don't literally just play one hero. That's not what a hero spammer is. Hero spammer is somebody who religiously, not religiously, who very, 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 very often plays one hero such that you can expect 9 out of their last 10 games to be that hero. And I even kind of wanted to dispel that as a myth because recently, and by recently I mean, you know, as of about 10, 15, around 2 weeks ago, I've made it a point to acquire a few other heroes in the role that I prefer, which is offlane. As a quick side note, actually, I just wanted to also, and maybe I should have put this at the start of the video, but I just wanted to say, again, as non-conceited as this sounds, I will officially start to look for a team. If anybody's out there that is kind of like curious as to whether or not I've like what my competitive history with Dota has been. It's basically just been, I've been trying to hit certain goals in my solo queue ranked rating, as I do see that as somewhat of a good measurement of personal skill as a player, both mechanically and knowledgeably. I've been trying to hit a few goals. With 5K was one of them. Kind of becoming like a real 5K player, so to speak, in the aspect of like solidifying a good concrete cushion to be able to say, okay, like I'm not just some guy, some idiot who got lucky and spammed one hero. Like I'm confidently like if I can hit 5.5K, I can at least say that I'm a 5K player. And then now it's with the 6K thing, and then like breaking into 6K, just kind of got me thinking like, you know, I could use a team right now. And what I mean by this isn't like I'm just gonna sit back and e.g. go ahead and pick me up, you know, but I'm just trying to say that if you are interested in trying to start a team with somebody who, you know, is a bit of a little bit, you know, I definitely pick I definitely have a small hero pool, but it's not literally just one person, or one hero rather, and I'm an offlane player. Consider shooting me a message. I'll definitely consider it. You know, I'm looking for teams or I'm looking for people really. I myself wouldn't be opposed to starting a team, and I probably will try that. But I'm not somebody who reads too far into MMR. You know, I throw pickup games all the time that are considered somewhat in houses with people from my stream, and I play like with 2K players. I'm not too concerned with your solo MMR. I do have a few small criteria that we can flesh out, and maybe I don't know, like maybe I'll make a separate post for this just so that I can, you know, in case I get overwhelmed with invites. I doubt I will, or with people that are interested in kind of starting this sort of thing with me. Again, I doubt this will happen, but if it does become a thing, I'll lay out my criteria. In a more solidified format. But again, if you guys are at all interested, just again leave a comment or just hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to respond. But anyways, onto what I can make that of this that's educational. I just wanted to check to make sure I was on the Dota page. I want to talk about kind of like my methodology when I get into a game and how I pick heroes and how I approach what to pick or who to pick in any given game. So firstly and foremostly, I use the map, and what I mean by the map is I mean that screen that when you just get into like a custom lobby, or when you get into your game, I'm just going to use a custom lobby for this example. But I use the little map right down here that kind of, I don't know, some people say it kind of calls your role or whatever. It's kind of like League's or Dota's way of saying like, hey, I prefer this position. I use this religiously. I very much, I think this is probably the biggest, or at least one of the single biggest assets that we have as a MOBA. Not as a MOBA. I mean, again, like League has a very similar system to this, but I don't know if Smite has. I don't even know what Smite metagame is. If Smite has like a mid lane, off lane, jungle crap like that. But in terms of like us, Dota as a MOBA, I think this is a very valuable tool, and I think you guys should consider using it if you don't. I read this pretty much as literally as I possibly can. So if you're in a solo queue game, if you're in one of my solo queue games, for instance, and you do something like throw Meepo out there and you throw it on the enemy jungle or your jungle, I'm going to assume either you want to roam as Meepo, or probably more likely than not that you're trying to jungle Meepo. I don't look at this and say, oh, he's trying to troll, or he doesn't really mean that. No, like I will ask you. I'll be like, jungle Meepo? Just wondering. You know, I'm not going to try to start flame. I'm not going to be like, oh my god, you know, a shitty Meepo piece of, you know, garbage or whatever. I'm just going to ask. I'm going to be like, do you plan a jungle? I just want to know, because that'll alter the way that I play. And what I mean by alter the way that I play, and I'm just going to pick some notes so quick. Actually, I'm just going to get out of here. What I mean by alter the way that I play is, if I get into a game and say, you know, we all do this. Say I queue for Dota, match found, I hit enter, and I just go do something real quick, like, I don't know, I go use the restroom or whatever, and I come back and I realize, oh crap, like offlane was taken. I'm not going to fret. I'm not going to sit there and spam like, oh my god, I got to have offlane or whatever. If I see in the map that the offlane role is taken, I'll just go to I'll go play support. And what I wanted to show you guys here is kind of like what I'm looking for in a support hero. And Crystal Maiden recently has been hitting all of the chimes on the collective bell, or like the Hanukkah, or not Hanukkah, the little what's it called? The little, there's like a Jewish thing that has like a bunch, it's not, I'm not talking about the menorah, the candle thing. I don't know, just a collection of bells that you want to hit all of them and make it sound nice and harmonic. Like, Crystal Maiden's been hitting all those spots for me as a solo queue player who has to play support sometimes. And the reason that I say this is because Crystal Maiden is a farm independent hero that can farm if she wants to, and scales pretty well with items, especially in this meta where Necro specifically is a very common pick. Getting a Glimmer Cape on a support is amazing to pretty much shut his ability to kill any of your heroes, at least kind of somewhat by himself. You know, when he walks up, veils ulties, daggons, and then Qs, and it kills somebody like basically by themselves. Like, at least you can shut down a good portion of his solo kill potential with just a Glimmer Cape. And Crystal Maiden can farm that really well. If there's not a Necro in the game, she can still farm up other items really well. She also just like generally likes Glimmer Cape, so even if the enemy Necro's not popping off that game, you can make a Necro, or you can make a Glimmer Cape be pretty effective. She, like I said, she's farm independent, but she can farm just that fact alone. Like, it's a support that can farm. That, I love that so much. That's one of the reasons why you don't see too much Earth Spirit on here. And actually, you know, even where I've been picking Earth Spirit, I've been losing a hefty amount of my games on him recently. For one reason or another, I don't know. I just don't think he's a good solo pick hero, or solo queue pick hero. Also, he's a position 4, so in a lot of my games, I'll find that, like, I don't know if it's like the 5K curse or whatever, but we'll never get a solid position 5. And that's what I aim to pick in Crystal Maiden. Is I pick Crystal Maiden and I start the game with like literally no static items. Everything's a consumable, and I don't even buy branches. Like, we're talking like 2 wards, a sentry, TP, smoke, tangos, just to give to my mid lane almost. And then a clarity just to make sure that I can cast at least more than just one rotation of spells without having to go back to base. It's amazing. Like it's amazing how far I'm willing to go compared to what other people are. And again, this isn't me bragging. I'm just saying that's what I look to do, and that's what Crystal Maiden could support a lot of. Also, she's greedy in a lot of ways. She has like all the benefits, at least, of being a greedy hero, but she's not really greedy, right? Because of how much of a bitch she can be for her team. But she doesn't really ever have to rotate because her lanes just win, right? You get 2 points in her Arcane Aura, and like your allies basically have a basey ring and a half. Right, just like static on them that stacks if they want to get Basey Ring itself. You know, they just have so much mana regen. She's just a really good support for solo queue specifically. I'm not saying that I prefer picking her in competitive. I'm not a position 5 player, but you know, I enjoy picking her in solo queue, and so that's one of the, like, when I realize, okay, it's my turn to play support, like these guys are just gonna, you know, they're gonna rage or they're not gonna give up the role that I want on my team. I don't even really like to argue with people. I don't even like to start drama. Sometimes I will ask, especially if I'm in the highest MMR, I'll be like, hey man, do you mind if I offlane? But I'm never gonna take a role from somebody, and I'll always fill. If that's what the situation calls for, and I'll happily play Crystal Maiden if that means pulling out a win. Also, because solo MMR, this is an important thing to realize. Solo MMR is not just a measurement for like how hard you can grind a game, or how hard you can grind games out to get your internet points high. Solo MMR, I think the intention of it is, in addition to that, because I mean, it is somewhat that, but it's also kind of intended as a tool for you to learn how to play the game. And even if it's just spamming out Crystal Maiden as position 5 support, I learn a lot just playing it. Just playing the role really teaches me a lot. There's other position 5s. Maybe if you guys remember, I used to play a lot of Oracle, and I still consider myself a pretty good Oracle player. He just kind of, especially with the nerfs to his E mana cost and his base damage, he's really hard to farm on now without wasting precious resources or just like sucking, you know, because you got to like get the last hit on the. I don't know. It's hard to really love him as much as I used to. But I'll still play him. And again, if I ever had to be a position 5 for a team, I'd probably consider saying that Oracle is like one of my most experienced position 5 heroes. But yeah, so anyways, Crystal Maiden is one of the heroes that I look to pick in position 5 scenarios. And again, I don't even hesitate, man. If the situation looks like it's calling for it, or if we have a jungler and the offlane isn't available, like I'll hop right on that Crystal Maiden, and I'll just suck it up. I won't complain at all. Unless I start getting flamed, then I'll start to justify it or whatever. Another pick is Enigma. Enigma's a really he's an enigmatic hero, so to speak. Not a whole lot of people know how to play him. I roll him offlane. Obviously, if you can't tell, because I'm an offlane player, and he's like the only hero besides Crystal Maiden that's on this list that like I'm either an offlane player or I'll just go fill support, right? I have Earth Spirit for 4 if I ever need to, even though I haven't had too much success on him recently. I'd venture to say that a lot of my problems on Earth Spirit do stem. I hate to say this because it sounds like it's a kind of not me focused, like as a criticism, but a lot of the times that I pick position 4, I find that my position 5 isn't a real position 5 at my bracket anyways. So I feel like if I climb up to 7K or 8K or something like that, I'll get to the point where we'll get like real position 5s. Like people that, again, kind of like me, like when I play Crystal Maiden, adapt that real hardcore, just like, I need to be the bitch, you know, and buy all the words. But nonetheless, I'll still pick Earth Spirit as position 4. It's not like I lose every single game on him or anything like that. You know, I still somewhat have a decent win rate on him, 57%, even though that used to be like 61 rip. But yeah, basically it goes like this. Like if I ever need to play any role outside of 3, which is my primary role, I at least have one hero that I can comfortably say I can play that hero, right? Crystal Maiden for 5, Earth Spirit for 4. If I ever needed to play 2 or 1, I'd either pick like Life Stealer for 1, or I'd play like Broodmother for 2. As weird as that sound, or not weird because I made a video on it, but Broodmother mid isn't bad by any means. It's cheesy for sure, and it's not like a real win, but you know, it's a pick, and it can definitely be viable in some games. But yeah, so that's kind of like my mentality going across the roles. But when it's specifically to the position 3 role, I wanted to divulge a bit about how I pick Enigma and how I pick Brewmaster. And it's basically, I approach the game as this, right? Brood, when it comes towards the greediness of playing an offlaner, Brood is like the least greedy, but she can also be the most greedy. It's really weird. Brood needs the least investment from her team to excel. She doesn't really need rotations unless she's getting dove like a motherfucker. I'm talking like no creeps, like like the enemy's lane is getting pushed into their tower and they're still diving you under tower and they're rotating like 4 or 5 heroes, then yeah, like help a Broodmother out. But outside of that, dude, like Brood is so incredibly self-sufficient that she can get like double or even triple kills by herself. It's ridiculous. She's not greedy at all. She does need farm, like she needs items, but she can acquire that so incredibly safely and in an environment that basically wants to see her killed that she doesn't ever need to pop off at any point in time with her GPM. Otherwise, you might worry about like Broodmother not being able to hit the power spikes that she needs to because of kind of like a new build that I've somewhat discovered, drawn in part from inspiration of a few other like high level Broodmother players, which is going something like Mask of Madness Diffusal. I'm going to say it right here and now, like I'm not trying to denounce Radiance, but sometimes Radiance can be too greedy of a purchase in your Broodmother games, and sometimes it's not necessary because the meta right now, like I said, is very Necro focused. Necro's a hero, he loves to pick up Radiance. It's also focused on heroes like Bloodseeker. There's like another hero that really likes to build Radiance in the meta right now too. Can't remember. I remember there's 3. It's like Necro, Bloodseeker, and I don't know. I wish I could remember. I see him all the time in my game. You'd think that I'd be like very like not hard pressed at all to pull this hero's name out of my ass. I think it was in this game. In this game, I remember we had like a lot of really stupid heroes on our team. But I guess not. I don't know. Radiance is a really good buy right now, and it's an item that I think the pub meta has started to revolve around too. I've noticed, like I said, like if it's not just those 2 heroes, people will look for excuses to get Radiance. So in a game that I'm playing as Broodmother, if I identify like somebody else needs a Radiance on my team, or I'm just not going to hit the power spike that Radiance would really work well with, like that 20-ish minute mark, or basically before any core is even thinking about a BKB, I'll get a Radiance. If I can't, though, I'll just go something like Mask of Madness Diffusal, because both those items are very powerful right now, and Broodmother specifically takes advantage of those items really, really well. You might think of Diffusal as like a weirdish because she doesn't really have illusions or whatever, but Brood loves Diffusal. Like, Diffusal gives her that very, very small but very, very relevant gap close that she needs, that like 600 range purge of being able to slow a hero right when she wants to pounce on them and start biting them. Like that small little window of like I'm running at them but I'm not at them yet. Diffusal helps close that gap very, very well. And it's powerful enough for that aspect alone. On top of that, it gives you an F ton of agility, which is really nice. Some intelligence, which is never a bad stat. And it also gives the mana burn, which isn't an irrelevant stat by any means, especially now. Like the purge is the huge aspect of it, don't get me wrong. Being able to slow them for an incredible amount so you can get right on top of them. Just being able to purge off abilities is also very good because, like I said, Necro's really popular in the meta. Sven, you see Sven a lot when you're playing Broodmother. Sven, in a lot of ways, you could view Diffusal Blade against Sven as like a -20 like armor item when you pick it up. Like you pick up Diffusal Blade and you just get like 3 stacking Desolators against Sven because you can purge off Warcry. Like it's insane for that. So yeah, just having a purge is really nice, but then also the agility that it gives, even though they did nerf it, it's still like, I dare say, like too damn high. Like you get so much of your primary damage stat that also gives you attack speed, which is really nice on Broodmother, that it makes your power spikes come earlier because it gives you that bit of attack speed. But also Mask of Madness, of course. And in fact, we pick up Mask of Madness first in this build. I feel like I'm making a Broodmother video, even though I'm trying to talk about the methodology that I have behind picking heroes. Whatever. Maybe I'll make a video about that build specifically in the future. But basically, I pick Broodmother in games where I find that I don't need to worry about being greedy at all. She does scale pretty well into the late game as well, but she does have her weaknesses, and also just relentlessly spamming her isn't going to teach me as much about Dota as playing other heroes. So, just a quick side note, I definitely still do pick up a fair amount of Broodmother, and you could even still call me a Broodmother spammer if you wanted to, but that'd be missing the point of this video because Brewmaster and Enigma are 2 other heroes that I picked up. Enigma's a hero somewhat in between that I'll pick up in games where, maybe I have like 2nd or 3rd pick. I don't necessarily need a 5th pick Enigma for it to be good, similar to how I don't need a 5th pick Broodmother if I want it to be good. And I win games on Enigma even if I first pick it, but I don't enjoy first picking Enigma. I don't think it's as good, although maybe I just need to spam out like 700 games on Enigma to see why it could be good. I find that, I don't know, Enigma's a hero that like you can deal with pretty much any hero in the game in some form or another, but he does have elements of greed. He doesn't rotate as... I'll talk about his strengths first and again why I would pick him. If I was against a tri-lane, again, I kind of have to be in the mood somewhat because there's not a whole lot of reasons to pick to not pick Broodmother, not just over Enigma, but just in general. Like, you know, a Broodmother is still like a ridiculous, like probably an overpowered hero right now that probably needs some nerfs. But even if it's not Broodmother, I still like, I'd like to find a scenario in which Enigma's good. And if I could find a scenario in which he's like really, really good as a pick, it's when the enemy is going very, very aggressive on the lane specifically. And what I mean by this is like, they have good heroes for killing, but they don't have like super good heroes for rotating. And actually, Crystal Maiden is ironically a really good example of this. Like, Crystal Maiden sets up kills in her own lane really well, but she rotates very slowly, unless it's like a TP, which is usually when you're just trying to assist a dive. So Enigma's really good, just as like a standalone, like kind of against her. Also, she has a very lackluster way of canceling Black Hole, if you even want to call it that, and she doesn't really provide that much else in terms of like trying to counter Enigma. So I'd say Enigma is just a good pick against her alone, but more so the idea of Crystal Maiden is what Enigma counters, which is we want to crap on this lane very hard. Well, Enigma just like hard counters that because he constantly pushes the wave to his tower, meaning he's never irrelevant. Like, he's always causing damage because he's denying the range creep, denying a crap ton of experience, very notable amount of gold, and gaining this for himself. And then he's also making it very difficult for the enemy because you can block the hard camp. There's really nice spots where you can block the hard camp such that they basically need to use 2 sentries if they want to get it, because you got the common location that you try to deward. It doesn't work. You get the other location that's 200 gold that you just wasted. And I mean, the damage is almost already done after he's gotten like his level 3, because he can still always jungle after that point. And he's always going to take the range creep. He's really, really good at those static lanes that, like I said, just don't want to rotate at all and kill your other lanes. Like I said, he has some problems rotating. I guess Broodmother kind of does by extension, because it's fucking Enigma. Like, how is he going to rotate? Like, Malefice is a great ability, but it's not a great like gap closing ability, and it's kind of hard to just walk up to people and black hole him. So he's a bit greedy in that respect. I almost always feel obligated towards going Blink Dagger first item on him. I don't think that's bad at all, but I do think that that is one of the issues of the hero, is that I feel like you need to do that. But like I said, he can play around a lot of his perceived counters, like Silencer and stuff, just get Blink BKB, and he always has to worry about, like, he can't use Global Silence. Like, Silencer suddenly does not get to use Global Silence if you have Blink BKB on Enigma. Other heroes that are considered good counters, like, I don't play against too many Warlocks, but like Rubik's and shit, like, come on, dude. Like, you just get BKB alone, right? Not BKB alone, sorry, Lincoln Sphere alone. And it's very, very hard for a Lincoln Sphere Enigma to get canceled by Rubik by himself, because he has to use his long range spell seal just to pop your Lincolns. So he can't even stop your he can't even steal Black Hole. And then he has to get into range for telekinesis. And the range on telekinesis is very short if he's walking around like a black hole. So it takes him a very long time just to pick you up. Like, you only need a Lincoln Sphere just to kind of like irrelevate, just to make sure that Rubik's irrelevant against you. And then like other heroes like Lich is kind of popular right now, no doubt. And Chain Frost is a decent ability for canceling Black Hole, in the sense that it doesn't even get wasted. It's just that first charge, that first bounce doesn't actually proc on you if he throws it on you when you have a Lincoln Sphere. But it doesn't pop your Black Hole in that case, or it doesn't stop your Black Hole. Like, once you get a Lincoln Sphere, like, yeah, sure, Chain Frost still isn't wasted, but he's still Black Holing you. You didn't cancel Black Hole in any way. Yeah, so Enigma's a pretty good pick. I enjoy picking him, and again, like a lot of that stuff, I probably should just I should probably just make an offlane Enigma guide, because there's a lot to talk about there. But I do enjoy picking him in games where the amount of greed that I need is like more mid-game centered, and it's not that much. Also, like I said, when I just want to learn about Enigma, because I think he's a very valuable asset to have on a team, and I do think his role is offlane now. I don't think he's a support or position 4 greedy support. Jungle to level like 8 or something like that, and then push a tower down. Though I think he's a much better offlane hero, and I enjoy picking him offlane. And then finally, Brewmaster. Brewmaster, I don't know. Does that kind of convey my opinions toward Brewmaster? I feel like Brewmaster is really greedy, but he can do a lot with a little, and by that I mean, like, in terms of gold, he definitely doesn't strike me as a particularly greedy hero. He enjoys Blink Dagger very much, and I'd say it's debatably a core item on him. But, I mean, once you get it, you're kind of like done with items. And furthermore, even without it, you can get solo kills pretty easily. His ultimate is like almost second to none in terms of its raw strength when you hit certain timings in the game. And what I mean by this is, like, you know, you hit ulti at level 6, like an ultimated Brewmaster, a Broodmaster with ulti can solo kill like most any hero in the game. At least that early on in the game, when the pandas are so super strong like that. So it's really nice to just like hit level 6 on him and be able to kill the enemy core if he's still in the lane, or to kill a support if the enemy core is somewhat unkillable in that respect. But I also view him, like I said, like in the greediest sense, he's like somewhat greedy in lane, but he doesn't really care too much as long as he gets level 6. I also view him as like a pretty decent pick, like all throughout the mid game. He never has to stop and farm, and in fact he prefers like just constantly running at people when his ultimate's up. And his ultimate has a pretty low cooldown when it's at, especially at like level 2, it's like 90 seconds or something like that. And that's not counting the time that you're in your ultimate. Like it's the cooldown starts right when you push the button, not after your ultimate's actually complete. So when you're talking about like the effect and value that he's getting out of his ultimate, then his ulti stops and hopefully the team fight's won by his team. Then he just gets to like chill for like 60 seconds. His ultimate's back up, or it's about to be. You go smoke and you just go win another team fight. And that's kind of like how it goes with Brewmaster. Like I said, like he's really not too greedy at all in the mid game. I often find myself like, look at this. Here's my Brewmaster item progression, like in a nutshell. Is okay. Let's go to builds. Because it's really funny to just see like me go like a solid 10 to 20 minutes without picking up another item at all. Like, you'll get your Blink Dagger 14 minutes or whatever, you'll buy a bunch of TVs because you want to go rotate. And it'll be like 10 more minutes before you pick up the first component to your next item. And this is probably because I was stacking a bunch of golden winning fights constantly. But like, 25 minutes before I pick up another item, or not 25 minutes, but 11 minutes before I get another item, right? That's like, I don't know, that might sound common for some heroes, but like specifically Brewmaster, it just feels like his item progression is really wonky. And in this, it's like, look at this, like 16 minutes, I get my Blink Dagger, 40 minutes, and we did lose this game, and I definitely died a lot, but 40 minutes before I get my next item. Oh, excuse me. This is not an uncommon thing. Brewmaster just likes to fight. His farming capabilities are, without a Radiance, they're pretty lackluster. You just kind of clap, and even then it's like your mana's shit, so you kind of have to itemize or at least talentize, like get the 3-mana regen talent for that. And then you're taking mana regen over damage, which also helps you farm, so it's like a choice between, you're like in a rock and a hard place, and they're both somewhat unimpressive talents. Like 30 damage is nice for sure, but like it's hard for Brewmaster to see a whole lot of value out of it unless you can blink, clap, and then hit, but then sometimes you're going to get and then ulti, like blink, clap, hit, ulti is kind of a tall glass to order against heroes like Silencer. So you don't even get to take advantage of the plus 30 damage too much against heroes. Like I said, against creeps it's nice for farming, but you need some form of mana regen if you want to farm even remotely quickly on Brewmaster, because he only has one AoE that's kind of shit at clearing creeps. Like, he doesn't farm that well, but he doesn't need to, because he's really good in team fights, and I enjoy picking him for that, because outside of Enigma, which you could say I have a 3-hero pool in some senses, but outside of Enigma, he's like the only hero that I have that has like a huge team fight ulti, and I enjoy that aspect. Like, I don't really play Magnus too much, I don't play Centaur too much, I don't play Earthshaker that much, don't play Sand King that much. Like, I don't play these huge initiation heroes. So it's nice to have 2 heroes under my repertoire that I'd say I'm pretty confident in picking in my games, even now it's like at 6k MMR. It's pretty nice to be able to say that I do have 2 heroes like that. But anyways, so yeah, so I'm going to get out of here. This video kind of maybe seems rambly, but hopefully you guys derive something from it about kind of how I approach picking heroes in this in Dota 2. If nothing else, now you know. A bit of an update, in my life or whatever. Now you know that I'm 6K. Now you kind of know what I've been doing. A lot of you guys have been asking, like, oh, you haven't streamed that much recently. Just focus on games. Try not to focus too much on, like, stream chat and whatnot. I do play somewhat worse whenever I stream. It's kind of inevitable of alt-tabbing out to watching chat. You'd be like, oh, get a second monitor, but then I'm looking over at a second monitor instead of the game. 100% focus. Trying to focus as much as I can on improving as well, and just getting better, and just getting a little bit lucky as well, and I eventually did it. So super great. Again, it's great to talk to you guys again, but it might be a little bit of a while before you guys see a somewhat formatted video such as this. Again, just because I do prioritize playing and coaching people on my stream, which I now stream on YouTube, as maybe some of you guys have also noticed, as well as Twitch, so you guys can find me there if you'd like. Nonetheless, it was nice to talk to you guys, and I hope you guys have a great day. Yeah, peace out.